Hi, my name is Gabriela Torres. I work for the BBC World Service, and for the past year or two, my passion, my obsession has been trying to find out what is it that make women engage in social media. Everyone talks about social media being the perfect place for women to express, to have more gender balance, but it's been kind of like a conundrum for me to try to find out what is it, how do we tell the stories that make women talk, share, and participate with our content. So when we started this project in 2016, we asked all BBC World Service languages, and we're talking back then about 28 World Service languages, to tell us, to give us their strategy. What is it that they wanted to do, the social media reps, to increase that female engagement? And, no. And to be completely honest, it was more like a starting point than a strategy. There was kind of like a list of action plans of what they thought might move that needle. So they talk about do more female-centric stories, but what were those female-centric stories? And probably it's not surprising to you that many people say, well, female-centric stories about fashion and entertainment. Female-centric stories is about sharing recipes, for talking about cooking, or just talking about women just for the sake of it. Then they decided to do calls to action, so asking women broad questions on social media like, well, tell us, what is it that you want us to cover for you? Very, very broad ones, like when someone asks you, what's your favorite food? It's like, oh, I don't know, depends on the time of the day, isn't it? And then increasing video output, but not really talking about the content, and implementing social media best practices. And the last one is regularly monitoring the output that would come from us, to see if all that effort and action plan, because it was a starting point, at least we were started to talk about how can we actually engage and target our content for women. So, but was that enough for us? Actually, not really. We really wanted to get to the bottom of this. What is it that they're talking about? Well, female-centric stories. How can we do that? So what we did is that for months, we look at all BBC URLs that were shared on Facebook, that had more than 150 shares on Facebook, and try to find out which stories from the BBC engage more women across the planet, because they were all BBC URLs, and which stories engage more men, and trying to see like, if there is a difference, and if there was a difference, what was it? So we also categorized this study by the type of story, the usual suspect, health, politics, economic, all that. 6 users needs wheel, and then you would say, well, users needs, what is that? So a part of the BBC effort is that we realize that in many countries where we have present, women and audience in general, they have an appetite for a different kind of content or approach to a content. I'm going to show you what BBC users need. So we talk about 6 users needs. So while since now, if you think about BBC, it's about giving you accurate news, independent, that would be more update me and breaking news, and also with an analysis, an angle, that will be more give me perspective. There are other parts of how we can tell the content. We can say with inspiring stories, keep me on trend, educate me. Amuse me is more type of when you, I don't know, are waiting for the doctor's appointments and you're just scrolling and you try to, you stumble across stories that, you might find interesting, but you weren't really actively looking for that. Let me see. Okay. So getting back to our project, then after we categorized that, we started to get some very interesting results. Okay, I'm going backwards here, wait. Okay, so we found out that women do like news. 35%, probably this is too small here. 35% were update me stories. It's like, what? So women do like to be updated. They do like to consume stories, followed by educate me and give me perspective. But then when we look at men, 63% of update me story, like purely tell me what's going on and that's it. Followed by give me perspectives as well. But that's why then it takes me to the next level. So what is that? What is update me? Are we saying that we just want to consume news just for the sake of it? Or what kind of update me stories do women actually like to read? So that's why we categorize it by type of stories. So yes, they like update me, but the vast majority was health story, then followed by social affairs. And when we're talking about social affairs, is safety, is job opportunities, is the everyday things in life. And then family and education. Yeah, of course, we do consume entertainment. Who doesn't? Even men do. And then politics, but politics were about things that were more local, things that affect them, their everyday life. So it's thinking about the type of stories that are relevant to women and, completely honest, to people in general. Whereas with men, politics was a big chunk of it, more like wide politics, like these new legislations, something that it probably sounds too far away from the wider public. And then they have economy, and I don't know if, well, it probably was too quick, but the previous one, on women, there wasn't one story that engaged more women than was economy. So what does that mean? Does that mean that we don't like to consume stories about business as economy, or we, the BBC, didn't deliver the type of stories, business and economy, that matter to women? So, 10 minutes already. Wow. That was quick, and I practiced this. Okay. Okay, so that's it. 5 minutes, okay, I was in the middle of it. Okay, I thought it was 10 already. So then that takes me to the other bit. So that's it. So content, and that's it. Content that matters to people, that is relatable to people, and that's it. Well, that takes me to the second part. And actually, our responsibility was to monitor how the now 40 languages are performing on a monthly basis. And from that, two languages really stood out. So I'm going to show you a very quick cake of a study. So the first one was BBC, well, both of them were BBC Africa and BBC Turkish, that in a matter of months, they managed to nearly double their women engagement. So we kind of like wanted to know what is it that they did. We wanted to know the secret, the formula. The BBC Turks, actually they are a small team. They didn't have enough of resources, so the social media lead decided to clean the Facebook page, make it more inviting to women to talk, changing the teaser, changing the tone, telling them what things matter. Then they also reduce the amount of posts. It's not this hurry, there's a new breaking news, let's go, let's post it. Let's just, step back and think, what is it that this is important? Change the tone of the post to more emotional ones. So they didn't change the agenda, they just changed how they told the story. And then recirculating the stories that perform better. They use analytics tools all constantly on daily basis to see what is it that other women are talking about, or how women are talking about relevant stories, even if it's the Kim Jong-un, Donald Trump summit. And then, and one very important bit is that they incorporated more female staff in their team, and that they confess, and the social media rep is a man. The pitching, from the beginning, the way they pitch the story completely changed and diversified more the content and the angles of how to tell the stories. Whereas with BBC Africa, they did more female voices. They have a different approach. Talk about special seasons about women. So I don't know if you saw it, they call it African Women You Need to Know. They were inspirational, very inspirational pieces, and then they tried to engage everyone on the hub on this project. So if someone was going on assignment, Rahat, who was the person in charge, used to say, hey, why don't you go and film this person that is, this woman that is very inspirational. It doesn't matter if it's on a mobile phone, we'll take care of it. They experimented with new initiatives like Facebook closed groups, and they also share the content with other BBC African languages. It took them longer, but they got there. They broke the 50% ceiling. Problem with this is that as soon as they stopped doing it, they just dropped again. So that takes me to the 2 lessons we learned so far. One is making good choices of how you're going to approach to the stories. And the second one is be consistency. As soon as you stop delivering the high quality content that women want, the engagement drops. We are a very exigent audience. And then what can we do with this? Then, prioritize your female audience. Quality over quantity. It's not that we want something nicer, or changing the tone is because we just want to, patronize. That's not, it's quality. Create a safe place for women to talk and to, raise their voice and share their opinions, and have a gender balanced team. And listen to your audience that was there, and then keep innovating. Because we are very exigent, and if we are not innovating, then we're gonna, we just go to a different audience. Thank you.